Hello, I've just read Tempest Tost by Robertson Davies. It was first published in 1951 and is the first book in the Salterton trilogy. It focuses on an amateur production of Shakespeare's Tempest Tost in the small Ontario town of Salterton. Early on, the theatre company decides to stage the play outdoors in the gardens of one of the town's oldest and richest families. Hector McElrath, a middle-aged math teacher, and the company's treasurer, decides to audition for a part, despite his inexperience with acting. It's not long before he decides that he could use some romance in his life. He sets his sights on 18-year-old Griselda, who remains throughout the novel oblivious to his emotions. At the end of the novel, in despair, Hector decides to attempt suicide on the play's opening night. This is the third Robertson Davies novel that I've read. I first read Fifth Business in grade 12 English, and at the time I hated it. About a year and a half ago, I read Samuel Marchbank's Almanac and loved it, so about a month ago I gave Fifth Business a second try. The only criticism I have for Tempest Tost is that I wish there had been more Freddie. Freddie is the 13-year-old sister of Griselda. Freddie, along with the groundskeeper, is the first character that we meet in the opening scene of the novel. She is concerned about the theatre company stumbling across the cider champagne and wine that she's been making in the tool shed. She's also a book lover and very interested in religion. There's one scene that I really loved. One of the members of the theatre company has an estate sale to sell off the possessions of her deceased father. All the books are, as dictated by the deceased, given away to the clergymen of the local churches. Freddie goes to watch when the clergymen come to pick up the books and hopes that some of them will be left and that she'll be able to take or purchase some of them. I'm going to read a little bit of that scene just to give you an idea of what Robertson's writings is at its best. It was never discovered how clergymen, for a radius of 50 miles around Salterton, got wind of Dr. Savage's posthumous bounty. The local newspaper took the Great Assembly of Holy Men as a tribute to the power of its advertising columns. Indeed, as Freddie approached, a press photographer was climbing into a tree to take a picture of the extraordinary sight. However, the pride of newspapers is widely understood. The gossips of Salterton decided, after several weeks of discussion, that the matter was beyond any rational explanation, but that the Christian church must be better organized and more at one on certain matters than they had thought. At 5 minutes past 10, when the clergy were beginning to buzz like bees, a car stopped in front of the lawn, and young Mr. Mabie and Valentine climbed out of it. They were a good deal surprised and discomposed to find a crowd waiting for them, and hurried to open the front door. It had been their intention to sit quietly in the library at a table, arranging some final details of the sale and welcoming the occasional clergyman who might drop in for a book. Instead, they were closely followed up the steps, not rudely, but as cattle follow a farmer with a pail of hot mash. When the door was open, the clergy increased their pace, still without rudeness, but with a kind of hungry favour, and Valentine and young Mr. Mabie found that they were entering the library at a brisk trot. It was a room of moderate size, and might perhaps have held 50 people when full. 70 rushed into it in 60 seconds, and the remainder crowded as close to the entry as they could. One does not describe the activity of clergymen in a library as looting. They were, in the main, quiet and well-bred men, and it was in a quiet and well-bred manner that they went to work. The pushing was of moderate order, and the phrase "excuse me" was often heard. Natural advantages, such as long arms, superior height, and good eyesight, were given rein. But there was no actual snatching, nor were the old intentionally trodden upon. No very wide choice, no thoughtful ranging of the shelves was possible in such a crush, and with good-humoured philosophy, the visitors seized whatever was nearest. Unfortunately, Freddie was unable to get any books in that scene. The two other novels in the Salterton trilogy are A Leaven of Malice and A Mixture of Frailties. I have plans to read them soon. Thanks for watching, and have a lovely day.